Basically, the trees we plant, they're either raised from seed or from cuttings. The eucalyptus that we plant derive from cuttings, which are grown in a mother garden, which supplies the cuttings. And then the seed, the pines are generated from the seed, which is imported from Australia, because that's where most of the pines originate, but also ensuring the quality of the seedlings that we are going to generate at the end of the day. These spend a minimum of at least 4 months for the pines within the nursery, and then thereafter they are taken out into the plantation or into the compartments.
Today, Seeds of Gold is in Mayuge District, Bukaleba, to revisit Green Resources, Busoga Forest Company Limited. This company works hand in hand with government to ensure afforestation and forestation to generate carbon offset and all the whole value chain. It's against this background that the team felt the need to come back here and touch base on what has transpired in regards to full cycle of value addition. The highlights when you return.
Here we water once a day, and that is before noon.
We have got a process where we grow the trees and replant, and the indigenous trees we actually look after quite well. We've exported pine to Netherlands, we've exported to Dubai.
Tree farming in Uganda has the potential to provide vast and significant economic benefits for the farmers and the communities, while contributing to environmental conservation. Uganda has a wide range of tree species for commercial forestry, but today we focus on pine and eucalyptus. Almost very easy to maintain, pine doesn't need much input to thrive. As a matter of fact, too much water would simply rot it. The seedlings are rather pricey, ranging from 500,000 Uganda shillings to 1 million shillings for a kilogram. But on the bright side, they plant up to 40 acres of land.
Every being starts at inception, and so does trees. Seeds of Gold is here to engage with Amina, the nursery supervisor, to tell us how it all starts.
Like our seed, from the beginning, it takes 3 months in the tunnel with all the fertilizers, watering, everything. After 3 months in the tunnel, we take it out in the hardening area. That is 4 months, then it goes in field. The tunnels are the white sheets you're seeing behind me, and the hardening area is where we put them outside. Pine we do 4 months, it's 4 months from seed. Basically for us here, we water once a day, and that is before noon. That is our watering regime.
With regards to kiln drying of timber, as I've mentioned, there's 2 ways of getting timber dry. One is to leave it outside in the air and let the natural airflow and sun dry it. And the other one is placing them into a kiln, an oven, which is then utilizes heat that is generated, and it then dries the timber. The advantages of kiln drying is that it also helps with the eradication of pests and larvae within the timber which is there. So this also, the heat treatment will then kill those off, thereby ensuring you've got a longer lasting timber for building purposes and furniture.
For timber that could take about 100 hours to dry, only takes about 3 hours. Impressive.
Our kilns at the moment can do about 70 cubic meters at a time. Explain a cubic meter, it's 1 meter wide, 1 meter high, 1 meter deep. It can take 70 of those bundles. For every 1 millimeter of the timber, it takes at the moment between 2.5 and 3 hours per millimeter. So if a piece of timber is 50 millimeters, it will take anywhere between 125 hours and 150 hours to dry.
The boiler works seamlessly and makes drying timber so cool and very effective.
Right, within the sawmill you are always generating a waste. That is the side pieces that fall off. Our boiler at the moment is a kiln, a oven where we throw timber in. This generates heat. Around that boiler we have a tank with hot water. This water gets heated to about 95 degrees. It is then processed and pumped through the kiln. So within the kiln there are some radiators, the same as the front of a motor car, and they have got fans. So the fans blow the air, cold air, or through the radiators, which pass through the timber, which removes the moisture gradually. There's a time span and different levels of drying this timber. So once the timber that is dried outside, it will take you, or depends on that timber, but the 50 millimeter will take you nearly 2 months to dry outside. The timber in the kilns, as I've said, will take you 150 hours, so that will be about 6 days. Also, we have a moisture meter. It calibrates the amount of moisture still in the timber. So when your timber comes in through the wet mill, before it enters, you are looking between 46 and 55% moisture. Within that process in the kilns, it brings it down to 13 to about 17% moisture content, which is you are able to build furniture and roof trusses and items from it.
In this place, no stone is left unturned in terms of value addition. Mac elaborates on this great achievement.
Yes, from the time it's planted until the time that it is in a sawn board, I say that we can use 92% of that tree that has been grown. The process is very simple. When the tree comes in, the bark comes off. People use that for mulch. In other words, throwing it in the gardens to retain moisture. Once it stays degraded, it becomes a compost. When that log goes through the sawmill, we create a sawdust. There are machines and boilers that utilize sawdust as a biomass. From there, we've got chips. That is the offcuts are then put through a process, and they are made smaller, and that is also goes as biomass. The wood chipper, it goes through the wood chipper. It's a new one. The wood chipper it takes all the waste on a belt. It's got some huge knives inside, and as the timber passes, it cuts it like you would cut through carrots or you would cut through cabbage. And it creates smaller pieces of firewood, which is more manageable, so that it can be fed into the boilers more easy. Then the last process is, once we have added value to the timber and we have processed it further, we create the shavings. And the shavings that come from there, because they are dry and they are free from pests, because that timber has come through kilns, that is then sent through to the animal reproduction centers, such as chicken farms, and they then use that as a floor covering. And eventually that, with the waste of the chickens mixed with the sawdust, then gets put back into the earth as a compost. So all of our material that's falling off is utilized, and very little is in actual fact wasted.
When we talk about value addition and company growth, this is what we mean. Here, you are able to see and feel the tree right from the garden to this wooden house. They walk the talk.
Yes, until recently, with the implementation of our planer, we would have to go and buy all our timber. We are in the process now where we are able to plane timber where we've got, we can make flooring, wooden flooring. We can make paneling. As you can see, this is Musisi, Myosopsis. That is Grevillea robusta. Floor is pine, and our ceiling is eucalyptus. So we can make ceiling, flooring, paneling. We can make timber for profiles for doors. With that same machine, we are currently supplying door factories with finished product that they use within their manufacturing environment. The joints we've got, because there's a lot of waste and shorter pieces that are produced. Most of the manufacturers and roof trusses are long material. So we have now in the process or have bought in a finger jointing machine. Now the finger jointer can take anything from about a 1 foot, if you want, to 300 millimeters, and it can go up to a 1.5 meter, which is a 5 foot. And it goes through a process where it puts fingers on, and these are mechanically pressed, and I can produce up to a 6.6 meter from short pieces, which otherwise would have just gone as waste. So we have now also are able to produce longer lengths from the recovering lines, and also we are able to assist our customers because the machinery is only caters for a certain length, and by us finger jointing we can exceed that length, and we can do a 6.6 meter length of timber.
It can grow under a broad range of climate and soil conditions, from temperate to hot, subhumid to damp, and from good to degraded soils. A single mature eucalyptus pole can go between 150 and 200,000 shillings, depending on its height. It is a rapidly growing tree, which means that they can be harvested relatively quickly, typically within 4 to 8 years.
Do not get me started on the health benefits affiliated to the eucalyptus tree. It can help with dry skin, cough relief, pain relief, and so much more. The gold in this seed is simply impressive.
The market is wanting for timber, and it grows by the day. The market goes beyond borders, across the continent and to the rest of the world.
There's two sides of the market. Until recently, we were only supplying what we call a wet off saw market. In other words, we would take the tree log, we would cut it, and then once it is cut, while the timber is still wet, it will be sent to the customer. Because we are adding this value of kiln drying, more and more people are realizing that if I buy a kiln dried timber, I can use it sooner. Whereas with the wet off saw, he's going to take it and have to wait until the drying process is finished and then use it. So he gets a quicker turnaround on that kiln dried of the timber. And that's why you will see there are more expansions on the kiln side as our growth, not only here in the East Africa, but we're talking European market, we're talking the Asian market, we're talking Dubai area, are buying more and more of our timber, which is kiln dried. We have a very good quality timber. And so our market is growing. Our finger joint, our flooring, our ceiling has been put out there. We attended shows up in Kenya, and we've got very good response for that. And even locally, we see there's a significant increase on a monthly basis on these products that we have put out there. We export, we've exported pine, pine to Netherlands. We've exported to Dubai. We export Kenya. And we are now in the process of supplying, I think, Somalia with some beams. And we are also have an order which we are currently concluding, and that is eucalyptus, and the eucalyptus is going to Thailand for the use of machete handles, pick handles, hammer handles. So we are able to do both species. Now the IPPC mark is a mark which assures the user or the recipient of our timber that the timber has been heat treated. Why do they want this heat treated? Is to ensure that any insects or bugs within the timber have been eradicated. And that we do through a heat treatment. And once we have heat treated, we can apply a mark. And we are the first company in Kenya that have the IPPC mark.
The existence of this company here is a blessing to the community as a source of income for their livelihoods.
The community is quite a significant part. First of all, we employ a lot of the folk around here, so they come in, they work. We've brought in contractors who are from this area, and they run certain of the areas. Also, while we are harvesting, all sellable products that we can are sold to customers, be it for billets, for firewood, for logs, and any of the redundant branches that are left in the field, they have use of it. Also, when our company gets, the sawmill gets enough timber, we put it out for the local community, and they will then get firewood, free firewood. By us supplying this also helps to bring down the use of the charcoal. So they get free firewood from the area.
Green Resources has maintained their coexistence with nature, and this is what should be.
Our company, Green Resources, has spent and does spend a lot of money with regards to the caring of the environment. We belong to the various organizations, and we contribute in keeping the wetlands as wetlands. There's conservation areas, and the indigenous trees we actually look after quite well. We've also belonged to FSC. Okay, and the FSC stands for Forest Stewardship Council. With that, in saying that, the FSC have and do audits here at the mill, so they come in from the European markets. They come in and ensure that we are adhering to all protocols. And they will go into the forest, they will see that our footprint we are leaving there, we are not doing damage to the environment. We are not just cutting trees down, we have got a process where we grow the trees and replant. So we are very compliant with that. Within the mill too, they come and check that the way we handle our people, the protection of our people, and how we care for them within the company. So yes, we do belong to these organizations.
In such an environment, there is always a challenge of employees' safety. How then is this handled here? How have they overcome such?
The safety of employees is an ongoing thing. It is in actual fact our number one priority. I as the mill manager walk through every morning, every afternoon and every evening. And where we see those that are transgressing, we try and make sure they have the right equipment. If they don't have the right equipment, make sure they get it. And not only make sure they get it, but that they use it safely.
With Green Resources, the services are a full cycle for any intending farmers out there, as Mark explains. You can get knowledge about tree farming in its totality.
Sawmilling and forestry is a big thing, but it's only part of the environment. We are experts in what we do here, but it doesn't stop at that. Within our company, we've got a lot of experience in various fields. So when people outside that have bought our timber require assistance on what is our qualities, what is our grade, what can they do with it, how they can do it, the amount of experience within this whole group is there, so they could easily through our sales force require assistance, and we are able to give it. I'm talking experience in forestry, experience in sawmilling, bushmilling, how to raise the trees. And yes, we also have a program that where people, if they need to plant trees, they apply to the company, and we look at the area and we advise what can be planted. And if it is what we have, our company will then donate trees to be planted.
To top it all, the experience at this farm was quite vested, as our eyes kept meeting a number of young people on the job. Women here are held in high regard and are actively involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. Thus, more recruits in the agriculture sector.
When we get a position, we advertise it out through within our ranks. And we have also had a big drive in the last year on gender equality. So what we are doing, and we have started mainly on the tractors and the operators, you will see within our company there are a lot of female drivers, and they ride big machines. And we are of the sense or that when we expand to the new buildings that are coming up further, that the amount of females must be brought in line so that they are also in line with our equality, gender equality mandate.
Welcome to our segment of Expert Opinion. Joining us again, we have an agronomist from Bukola Chemicals, Mr. Solomon Serewo. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Let's talk trees. Yeah, a lot of Ugandans are venturing into commercial tree farming. What would you say are some of the ideal soils that they should, consider?
If we are talking trees, there are different kinds of trees, and some of the most common include eucalyptus and pine and a number of others. All the kinds of trees, especially eucalyptus and pine, require deep fertile soils, and by deep we are talking about a depth of about 750 millimeters. That's approximately 2.5 feet deep. So if you have soils that are adequately deep and fertile, you can comfortably establish trees.
Okay. Your expertise in chemicals is vast, so you could probably tell us some of the chemicals that they could use for a healthy forest.
So for starters, looking at establishment, we recommend the application through planting and within the planting hole of humic acid, comes as humet. This compound enables the seedlings to produce as many seed roots as possible, and it enhances different soil properties, including water holding capacity. It also enables different nutrients to be available, and therefore for the young seedling to uptake. The humet or the humic acid has also been proven to reduce soil salinity, and therefore soils that are known to be saline break the salinity and release the nutrients that are tied, thereby making them more available for the plant to take up.
So what precautions should a farmer considering this, take before they get into it?
So the biggest, I think, precaution before getting into establishing a eucalyptus or pine forest is, one, establishing your objective of why are you growing the eucalyptus. Are you growing it for wood? Are you growing it for timber? Are you growing it for poles? At the end of the day, this determines the variety you're going to grow. then the next important thing is the spacing, because the use also determines the spacing. If we are looking at timber, that must be established, the seedlings must be established with the widest spacing of about 3 by 3 meters. And if you're growing eucalyptus for poles, then it can go as low as 2.7, and if it's simply wood for charcoal or wood for cooking, for fuel, then it can go even as low as 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters. But along the production stages of the eucalyptus trees, these have to be thinned to be able to reduce the population to allow the remaining trees to grow as big as possible.
That's our show for today. I hope to see you again next week. Keep the comments coming in. #NTV Seeds of Gold. Thank you for watching.